Hi, my name's Desolate. I'm doing this video from Cornwall, United Kingdom. What am I going to call this video? Basically, I'm going to talk about a couple of things. BBC TV licence and fucking hell, G5. So, a few days ago, no, I'm going to start somewhere else first. When I started talking about the Afghanistan thing that was going on, this will only be quick, this. When I started talking about the Afghanistan thing that was going on, about how the Americans sneaked out of Bagram Air Base, found a video the other day where they smashed all the equipment. They slyly, what they couldn't say, they slyly fucking smashed and broke. You know what I mean? You know, like computers, they fucking took bits out, cars, they fucking removed bits of engines or punctured radiators. They did all sorts, slowly and quietly. So they didn't even leave it for the Afghan troops to fight the Taliban or to sell. So I was thinking about it all and I thought, right, where's it going in the future? Well, we're going to see this process over the next few months where more and more of the land is taken over by the Taliban, the cities, and you're going to see fighting. And you won't see too much on our news, maybe a bit. Definitely not on the American TV, I'd imagine, you know. And then there's a big ceremony where the Americans pull out fully, except for a few staff at the American embassy, which they will have made an agreement with the Taliban that they will have an embassy for when the Taliban take over. There will be an embassy. It's all been agreed. It's like when I was doing blog radio years ago, 2008, I said the Americans have already started dialogue with the Taliban office because they opened an office in Dubai. The Taliban had an office in Dubai. And it was like a press release office where they release press releases. And I said they've already started negotiations with them. They know it's over. And that was back in 2008. So there'll be official closing down ceremony where the last fucking MP leaves or whatever, but you'll still have Marines at the embassy. And then all of a sudden it'll just start falling apart rapid. So there's an agreement that the Taliban slowly take over the land, take over large parts of Afghanistan. But then when it's official that America's left, that's when it all kicks off proper. That's when the ones who've been lazy, not lazy, but who haven't had a chance, that's when the people start fleeing. That's when the terror starts. And we'll see it on our TV screens, will be flooded with it. So I thought, and then it'll be certain warlords that go over to the Taliban to be allowed to continue growing heroin. And they will pay tribute to the Taliban, to the religious leaders. And heroin will go back to this society of warlords who grow heroin and then export it around the world. And you will have kids on council estates in Swansea doing cheap heroin, robbing old ladies, beating up old ladies in their beds, in their homes, so they can raise the money for a fix. The misery that the Muslim nation of Afghanistan will cause around this planet with its heroin will just be the same as it was years ago, and it has been for all these years. And if you look at karma, America has this like huge burden of karma on its back for what it's done in Afghanistan. But you also have to look at the Muslim nation of Afghanistan, the Muslim clerics, the Muslim people, who have the huge burden of karma on what they have done to this planet by creating heroin addicts and having old ladies mugged for money for that heroin. And it's the same in Muslim countries. There are Muslim addicts in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Iran, in Saudi Arabia, in Bradford, in London, in Brighton. There are Muslim heroin addicts and they are causing misery in society. And that is the karma. It's the cosmic karma. And I talk about it in my book. No, book's over there, I can't be bothered. But my book will talk about cosmic karma. Right, so what's going to happen? Well, when it all gets sorted out, there's going to be all these foreign fighters in Afghanistan. A lot of the fighters are foreign fighters. They are the unemployed people, unemployed young of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Egypt, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, Bradford, Brighton, London. All these disillusioned Muslims with no prospects, no education, who do not see a future. So what they've gone and done is they've gone and joined a cause, a Muslim cause, and they get paid for it. And as we saw in Syria, Raqqa, they also get wives. They get slaves, Yazidi women, other women, and they are taken as slaves, sex slaves, and they are given to young men as rewards. And these young men use them for sex, and if the women are unwilling, and then they just get raped. That's what was happening in Raqqa and elsewhere in Syria. So you've got all these young foreign fighters in Afghanistan. Well, they're going to be free. Well, they're going to go to Syria. Syria is going to kick off again, I predict. Christmas time, it'll start before winter. Yeah, winter, before it gets organised, 2022. And Afghanistan has been abandoned. It's been abandoned. It's like it was a bad idea. We shouldn't have gone in there. But they had to go in there so that they could then justify Iraq. Well, now all these fighters are going to congregate in Turkey, in Iraq, in areas of Iraq. Not all our areas of Iraq. In the areas of Iraq, the Sunni areas. And they're going to be trained in Libya. They're going to go to Libya for a regroup, retraining, reorientation, re-energized, and then they're going to be shipped to Syria. And then it's all going to kick off again in Syria, because in 2022 they have to take Syria. They have to take it. And then what they're going to do is they will then have Syria, and you're going to have this massive confrontation between Russia, and this is Joe Biden in his last couple of years. He will get the glory for taking Syria from Assad and confronting the Russians and pushing the Russians out of the Middle East, supposedly. While China move into Afghanistan. China have done a deal with the Taliban. And America has done a deal with China that they're stepping aside and not blocking them from going and getting the assets and the resources. I think the biggest... I only heard the other day, I've never heard it before, and then in this little video, news channel video from India, I heard that Afghanistan has the hugest deposit of copper on the planet, and the Chinese have already paid for it. And they've also got these other things going on with China, where they are moving into Afghanistan, and they will do a deal with the Taliban. And they will pay the Taliban willingly. Whereas there were actors, players, who did not want to pay the Taliban to take the resources. It's a known fact. Unicol Oil in Texas, I think it was 1998, 1996. There are pictures of the Taliban in the head office of Unicol Oil in Houston, Texas. And President Bush Jr., his cousin, is in the photograph. Herbert Walker, or whatever his name is. But President Bush's brother and cousin is in the picture, because Unicol Oil did a deal with the Taliban that when the Taliban conquered it all, that Unicol Oil would be the first in to exploit the resources. Well, something happened whereby they didn't want to pay the Taliban. They didn't want to pay him. So they went in to steal it instead. 9/11 happened. Oh, that was mysterious. And then they went in to steal it rather than pay the Taliban. Well, the Chinese are going to pay him. They're not bothered. They have no scruples. And America has done a deal to agree to step away. They've done a deal with China, not just the Taliban. And they've walked away from all these resources and access to resources. Pipelines, everything. They've walked away from it, and they're letting the Chinese just take it. But they're not taking it in a military way. They're going to pay the Taliban. So you're going to have all these freedom fighters released, all these young men, foreign fighters. They're all going to be released. And they're going to go to Libya, regroup, retrain, re-equip, re-energise, revitalise their religious fervour, and then they're off to Syria. And they're just going to pour into Syria from somewhere, just like they poured into Iraq from somewhere. Hundreds and hundreds of flat-back vehicles, all equipped. Loads of them had those big machine guns, double-barrel machine guns, huge machine guns, screwed to the flatback. Ammunition, it was like endless supplies of ammunition, and they were all in a warehouse somewhere in, I think, Turkey, and then they just all poured into Iraq. Well, the same's going to happen again. They're all going to pour into Syria, probably from Jordan and Turkey. And this time, they're not giving up until they've took Syria, and then they've conquered Syria, and then they have their stepping stone to attack Iran, because a government will be installed that is Saudi Arabia favourable, and then it'll all be organised, they'll have bases, and then the American troops will then move to Syria. And you'll have this huge build-up of American troops, American bases, and the Bin Laden family will probably be building the bases again, just as they did in Iraq. And you'll have a couple of years, the last couple of years of Joe Biden's term of government will be building up the bases in Syria, ready for the attack on Iran. With the aircraft carriers that are being built now, because America's been upgrading its aircraft carriers for quite a while. We've got our Tony Blair aircraft carriers. The French have got their aircraft carrier, and they'll all be there ready to attack Iran. But it's like I've said many, many, many occasions. God is not going to allow an attack on Iran. And I've said it many, many times. God will not allow an attack on Iran. So I was going to do this big long video about all this stuff, but I'll just leave that at that. That's it. And I think I'll figure a title out for this. So I'm just letting you know what I think is going to happen. Afghanistan, Syria, Iran. But watch out in the next, before Christmas, New Year, and 2022, watch for it kicking off in Syria proper. Watch it all starting again. And funnel and money will come from nowhere. Fighters will come from nowhere. They will be well equipped. And a lot of them will be from Afghanistan.